17 says, RR Manufacturing purchases gearboxes from the Medalists for $5.77 per gearbox, plus a one-time credit check fee of $45. RR Manufacturing sells each gearbox for $8.50. Part A says, write the function for the income or the profit generated from selling gearboxes. So right away, I know I will have a profit equation. And then when I look at part B, write the function for the cost of purchasing gearboxes. This will be a cost versus profit. When reading, I see information about the profit. It says that they will sell, oops, wrong color. They will sell each gearbox for $8.50. It didn't ask us to define variables, but really we need to always to understand what we're saying. It's each gearbox. Each gearbox. So X equals number of gearboxes. And then I know Y will be total money. So for part A, for the profit, this will be Y equals 8.5x. Now for the cost, let's go find information for cost. It says that they purchase, so this is an expense to the company, they purchased gearboxes from the Medalists, this other company, for $5.77 per gearbox, plus a one-time credit check fee of $45. Putting this all together for our function, Y equals, we need to make sure we have a clear understanding that $5.77 per box is my rate, 577x plus this one-time fee of $45. I now have my two functions, so we can answer part C. Use mathematics to predict the break-even point of the income from RR selling the gearboxes and the cost of purchasing the gearboxes. Write the meaning of your solution in a complete sentence. We will set cost equal to the profit. 8.5x equals 5.77x plus 45. We set cost equal to profit because this is when the business will have broken even. They've made exactly the amount of money they need to pay their bills and other expenses. So they're not actually in the green, so to speak, yet. They've only broken even once we've found this answer. Ultimately, we want x equals a number. So I will gather all of my x's to the left side by subtracting 5.77x from both sides. We do that and get 2.73x equals 45. We'll divide both sides by 2.73. We get x equals 45 divided by 2.73 is 16.48. This is our math answer. We need to reason on what will the real world answer be. If I read closely, notice this bolded note, rounds the number of gearboxes up. So this means 17 gearboxes. It makes sense to round up here because 16 is not enough. It's 16 and a part of a gearbox, but you can't sell a part of a gearbox. So at 17 gearboxes, they will have broken even. We have found the break-even value, and let's go check to see if we need to answer anything else. It said use math to predict the break-even point and the cost. So we found how many gearboxes they need to sell, but we actually also need to go find that cost. To do that, we can substitute into either equation. I choose to use the first one. You could use the second. That's fine. So 8.5 times 17, I get 144.50. It would be interesting to talk real quick about, did rounding change these from being exactly equal? Because I know I just mentioned it didn't matter which one. But for those of you who maybe chose to plug into the second equation, just for fun, let's see what happens when we substitute 17 in here. So 5.77 times 17 is 98.09. Plus 45. $143.09. So notice they are no longer exactly equal. And the only reason that that happened is because we were told to round the number of gearboxes. If you had plugged in exactly 16.48, these would have come out the exact same. So in a question on a quiz or a test, if you were asked to round, I would know what both of these answers are and I would accept either. So slightly different. Because of rounding. So either would be acceptable. Are we done? I hope we are all saying, no, we are not, because notice, write the meaning of your solution in a complete sentence. So this is an example, as I've mentioned before, pay attention. If it asks for a sentence, we need to give a sentence. But we can use our question to write our sentence. It says, use math to predict the break-even point of the income. Right there, I'm going to take that. The break-even point. Where cost equals income is 17 gearboxes selling 17 gearboxes and that would be $144.50, or maybe you got the $143.09. Remember, at this value, they have not actually made any money. All of that profit would be to cover their cost. So they would be profitable, they would be in the green once they sold their 18th gearbox. They will make money when they sell their 18th gearbox. Moving on to 18. Vacation, please. A weekend at the Beach Bay Hotel in Florida includes 2 nights and 4 meals and costs $195. A week includes 7 nights and 10 meals and costs $650. Calculate the cost of staying 1 night and having 1 meal. So we really want to make sure we're reading for information, because this is what I need to know in terms of what kind of function I've got, or excuse me, what kind of system I have. I need to know the cost of staying one night and having one meal. On your chart, cost or price of each item tells me that this is an AX plus BY equals C, a standard form system. From the question, I know that I will let X be the price or the cost of staying one night, and Y will be the price or cost of staying. I want that to match. Cost of staying. Not staying. What am I saying? Cost of staying one night and one meal. Apologies. Cost of one meal. Now we need to mentally group what goes together. So when I'm reading this, we need to see what goes together. I see mention of what a weekend costs, and what a week costs. So these will be what we use our two colors to find. I will make weekend yellow. I'm told a weekend at this hotel in Florida includes 2 nights and 4 meals, costs you $195. So 2 nights would be 2x plus 4 meals, 4y, because y is the cost of a meal, costs you a total bill of $195. Let's see what we know about the week. A week includes 7 nights and 10 meals, costs $650. So this would be 7x plus 10y equals $650. We need to solve the system. Do we want x's to cancel or y's to cancel? I think I'm going to go for the y's. So positive 4y, positive 10y, I would be looking to get a positive and negative 40y. If you want x's to cancel, that's perfectly fine too. You'd be working towards a positive and negative 14. So however you chose to solve it, no problem. Check answers with me and we'll see if we match at the end. So for me, I'm going to multiply my top equation by negative 10, and I'm going to multiply my second equation by a positive 4. So I get negative 20x minus 40y equals 195 times negative 10 is a negative 1950. Multiplying the second equation by 4, we get 28x plus 40y equals 650 times 4, 2,600. And now we've done our multiplication right, we should have inverses. So let's see. Negative 40y and a positive 40y cancel. Now we have negative 20x plus 28x is 8x equals, I'm going to put into the calculator 2,600 minus 1950. I get a positive 650. I'm ready to divide both sides by 8. $650 divided by 8 is 81.25. There's our math answer. Let's see if this makes sense with how we defined our variables. Maybe we need to round, maybe we don't. When I look up here, X is the cost of staying one night. Money, we have decimals. So this answer will be 81.25 per night. The cost of staying one night. To find the cost of a meal, we need to substitute into one of our original equations. Does not matter which one. I choose the top one. Maybe you chose the bottom. We should get the same answer. So that'll be 2 times 81.25 plus 4y equals 195. 2 times 81.25, 2 times. We get 162.5. Plus 4y still equals 195. Subtracting 162.5 from both sides. That gets us, let's see, 195 minus 162.5. 4y equals 32.5. We'll divide both sides by 4. That gets us y equals 8.125 With money, we usually round to 2 decimal places. So for our real world meaning, $8.13 per meal. We have successfully calculated the cost of staying 1 night and 1 meal. Let's start reading number 19. Marcus decides to open a new bank account. He deposits $25 that he won in a robotics competition. He also plans on depositing $10 a week that he earns from tutoring. Philip decides he wants to keep his money in a sock drawer. He already has $40 saved from mowing lawns over the summer. He plans to also save $10 a week from his allowance. Write a function to represent the information regarding Marcus and Philip saving money for new robotics materials. And we have a reminder here to define our variables. Now here we don't have a question to underline yet, so we need to be able to just, from the language in the question, identify what kind of system this is. I clearly get the sense of an initial deposit, and then they're saving a certain amount a week. A week is the same as each or per week. So I know that X will be number of weeks. And then once you know how long somebody's been saving money, you know total money, total savings, total amount of money in the bank. We have 2 people we're talking about. We're talking about Marcus and Philip. Let's make Marcus yellow. Let's see what we can find out about Marcus. Marcus decides he's going to open up the account, deposits $25 that he won. So I guess I only need deposits $25. And he plans on depositing $10 a week. So $25 to start in the account. Y equals 25 plus $10 per week. Let's go see what we can find out about Philip. Philip is going to keep his money at home, has $40 saved, plans to also save $10 per week. This would become Y equals 40 plus 10x. We have successfully defined our variables. We've got our system. Here's our question. Predict when Marcus and Philip will have the same amount of money saved. Use your function to help you determine your prediction. So we're going to take our system and use it. To find when they have the same amount of money, we'll set Marcus' bank account equal to Philip's plan here, what he's got going on, and solve. I will plan on gathering all of my variables to one side and numbers to the other. So I will subtract 25 from both sides. $10x equals 40 minus 25 is 15 plus 10x. Then I subtract 10x from both sides. Ooh, what happens here? Gone, gone. So now on the left side I have 0 equals 15. If something like this happens, let's check to make sure we didn't make any algebra mistakes. I look back up at the real world situation. They're both depositing $10 a week, so I didn't make a mistake there. So the variables do cancel out. Is this a true or false statement? False. False means no solution. On a graph, these would be parallel lines. What does this mean? Marcus and Philip will never have the same amount saved. And if we actually look at the system we built, it kind of makes sense. Marcus is starting with 25 in his account, and Philip is starting with 40. They're both depositing the same amount of money each week. The only way that Marcus could possibly catch up is if he was even just $1 more a week, $11 a week, he would eventually catch up. But for as long as they're depositing the exact same amount of money, because one started with more than the other, they will never have the same amount in the account. Moving on to 20, Steelworks. A company sells brass and steel machine parts. One shipment contains 3 brass and 10 steel parts and costs $48. A second shipment contains 7 brass and 4 steel parts and costs $54. Find the cost of each type of machine part. From that question, I know that this will be an AX plus BY equals C system. I also know from the question that it says find the cost of each type. So what are the 2 types? Let's see, we have brass, so cost of brass part. What's the other type? Steel. So Y will be the cost of steel part. Mentally grouping what goes together, I see that we're comparing shipments. I see information about one shipment and then information about a second shipment. So let's say first, you can say one shipment if you want, but I don't really have room. So first shipment, second shipment. For me, I'm going to make the information about the first shipment yellow. And I see that right here. It says one shipment contains 3 brass and 10 steel parts. Costs $48. So that will be 3x plus 10y equals 48. If this is a question you hadn't done, please go ahead and press pause. See if you can write the equation for the second shipment. And find that information. It starts right here. My second equation is 7x plus 4y equals 54. I have my system. I'm ready to solve. I choose this time. I would like my x's to cancel. So I have 3x and 7x. I need to work towards a positive 21 and a negative 21x. I'll multiply this first equation by 7, this second equation by negative 3. Maybe you chose to get your y's to cancel. That means you'd be working towards a positive and negative 40. Perfectly okay. Just see it through and we'll compare answers. The top equation for me becomes 21x plus 70y equals 48 times 7, which is 336. And then here I have negative 21x minus 12y equals 54 times negative 3 gets me negative 162. Let's see what we get when we add these together. We're going to linearly combine them. X's will cancel as I planned. Positive 21x and a negative 21x is 0. 70 minus 12 gets me 58. Y equals, let's see, 336 minus 162 is 174. Dividing both sides by 58, I got y equals 3. What does 3 represent? When I go look at my definitions, y is the cost of a steel part. So I would take this math answer and say steel parts cost $3 each. Now it's time to go find the cost of the brass parts. Doesn't matter which equation you use. I think I'll use the second one. 7x plus 4 times 3 equals 54 is 7x plus 12. We'll subtract 12 from both sides. (54 minus 12 is 42. Finish this up by dividing by 7. Divide by 7. 42 divided by 7 is 6. So this means brass parts cost $6 each. And we're done. We have successfully found the cost of each type of part. Number 21, Rent-A-Car rents compact cars for a fixed amount per day plus a fixed amount for each mile driven. Ben rented a car for 6 days, drove it 550 miles, and spent $337. Lisa rented the same car for 3 days, drove it 350 miles, and spent $185. What is the charge per day and the charge per mile for the compact car? This would fall under a what is the cost of each item question starter. So this is again an AX plus BY equals C system. Where X will be, let's see, charge per day. And Y will be charge per mile. The question tells me that those are my two unknowns. So to define variables, we really need to be able to read for information, and we're all doing a great job with that. We're all getting better. It's great to see. We've got two people that are being talked about here. We've got Ben, and we've got Lisa. Grab our colors. I'll make Ben yellow. Ben rented a car for 6 days, drove it 550 miles, and spent that much money. Then we've got Lisa. Lisa rented the same car, 3 days, 350 miles, $185 total. Pause here if you have not written this system and give it a shot. We'll compare in a second. For Ben, I have 6x plus 550y equals 337. And then for Lisa, I have 3x minus 700y equals, oh, excuse me, not 700. I'm jumping in my notes. 3x plus 350y equals 185. Because 3 days, 350 miles, and that's her total cost. When I'm trying to decide what to cancel, this looks very ugly. But over here, 6x and 3x, that's nice. So I choose to get x's to cancel, and I'll make that happen by multiplying this second equation by -2. So I got 6x plus 550y equals 337. This one did not change. The second equation becomes -6x minus 700. There's my 700. Minus 700y equals -370. We're ready to linearly combine. Adding these together, my x's will cancel. 550y minus 700y is -150y equals 337 minus 370 is -33. We'll wrap this up dividing both by -150. And we get y equals 33 divided by 150, 0.22. Let's see what our answer means. We defined y to be cost per mile. So it means that when you rent this car, it's 22 cents per mile. So we have the cost per mile. Now we need to get how much does it cost you per day to rent this car. Doesn't matter which equation. I think I'll work with 6x plus 550y equals 337. This will be 6x plus 550, and where I see y, I am substituting in 0.22 equals 337. This will be 6x plus 550 times 0.22 is 121 equals 337. We'll subtract 121 from both sides. Draw a line across. This gets us 6x equals 337 minus 121 is 216. Dividing both sides by 6. 216 divided by 6. We get x equals 36. The meaning of this answer when I look, x is cost per day. So it costs $36 per day to rent. And we're done. We've found our cost per day and our charge per mile. The Alvarezes are trying to decide which of two catering companies to hire for their anniversary party. Marvelous Meals charges $700 plus $35 per person. Posh Parties charges $400 plus $50 per person. Both companies are known for their good food and excellent service, so the Alvarezes want to choose a caterer that will cost less. Which company should they hire? So we're trying to figure out which one is better. Right away, we know that that will be a y equals mx plus b system. We're going to be comparing these two companies. Let's get our two color highlighters ready to go. First, though, we know x will be people. Again, don't write x equals per person. From this, I know x will be number of people. So x is number of people. Y will be the total, in this case, total cost. Let's go find our two companies. It talks about Marvelous Meals. I'm just going to say Marvelous. And Posh Parties. Just say Posh. For me, Marvelous will be yellow. So Marvelous Meals charges $700 plus $35. Oops, I highlighted a little too far. $700 plus $35 per person. That's all I know about Marvelous. And then Posh Parties charges $400 plus $50 per person. We're now ready to write our equations. So I know I'm looking for y equals mx plus b. $700 plus $35 per person. 700 plus 35x. For Posh, $400 plus $50 per person would be y equals 400 plus 50x. To give them advice, right? They're looking for which company should they hire. Before we can answer that question, remember, we have to find that before we can give advice, because this just says which company should they hire, we really need to first figure out when they're equal, and then we can move on to that step of giving advice. So to figure out when they're equal, we are going to set Marvelous equal to Posh. Just helping out with a visual. Marvelous equal to Posh will look like, well, 700 plus 35x equal to 400 plus 50x. We're now ready to solve for x. To do that, we will gather x terms to the left, numbers to the right. If you haven't solved this one yet, please hit pause and go ahead and solve for x. I choose to move 700 first. You maybe chose to move something else first. That's fine. So that's gone. I have 35x equals negative 300 plus 50x. I will now subtract 50x from both sides. That gets me a negative 15x on the left side and a negative 300 on the right. Divide by negative 15. Divide by negative 15. X equals negative 300 divided by negative 15 is 20. To know what x means, I go back up and I look at my variables. X is number of people, so 20 people. Now, we have not answered the question just yet. This is when both companies cost the same. Now that we know when they cost the same, we can give advice, because let's say they're not inviting exactly 20, then it will matter who they hire. Let's say they're like, well, 20, way too small. I want a bigger wedding. I would like to invite 100 people. So to give advice, let's assume 100 people. So we'll do Marvelous first. So that would be y equals 700 plus 35 times 100. That's 700 plus 350. So Marvelous Meals would cost $11.50. Now let's compare that to Posh. Y equals 400 plus 50 times 100. I get 900. So clearly, Marvelous will be the better choice for more than 20 people. So more than 20 people hire Marvelous Meals. Remember the strategy, folks. To give advice, you first need to figure out when cost is equal, then choose any number you want, more or less. In my case here, I chose to go more, and 100, the choice of 100 was completely random. It's just an easy number to work with. I found out that Marvelous is way, I gave bad advice. More than 20 people hire Posh. Sorry about that. Trying just to fix this one name, and it's not letting me, so I guess I will rewrite the whole thing. Sorry about that, guys. Posh is definitely cheaper. My bad. More than 20 people hire Posh parties. Because it's cheaper. Okay. This wraps up through 22. The next video will cover 23 and 24, and we will have successfully completed our real-world workshop. Great job. And this is going to drive me nuts that it's not neat, so I will take 2 more seconds and write this neater. There we go. All right, folks, if you have endured my erasing of this final sentence and my mistake, sorry about that, with Posh being definitely cheaper, now I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will talk with you in the next video. Have a good day, everybody.